Welcome to this week's episode of Black Me Up Podcast. I'm Day.
And I'm Lily.
And we're a weekly podcast that discusses life, culture, and adulthood from the perspective of two Black women living in Seattle. This week, it is 4/20. We're dropping this episode on 4/20, a very nationally syndicated holiday, especially in our podcast household. And this week, we have a very special guest. She is our cannabis expert, and I would love for her to introduce herself. Please go ahead.
Hi guys, thank you so much again for having me on for your 420 episode. I feel like it's only appropriate
yes.
Be on your 420 episode. I'm Iyana, also known as the Marijuana Iyana, and I'm a cannabis marketing and branding specialist, and I'm also a small business owner of a CBD and hemp beauty company.
I would love to talk a little bit more about that, your CBD and beauty company, real quick. Can you please tell the listeners how that kind of started, its name, and, some more details?
Yeah, of course. So my business is called Kush and Cute, and I started my business in 2016, and it's really just been something that I built from the ground, and I've been learning as I go along, and it's been a crazy journey, and I can't believe I've had this business for 5 years now.
Wow.
But the support has been like unreal, and that's really the only reason I'm still in business and still doing it, because of the just like amazing women like you guys who've been supporting me and the brand, and just really just understanding the vision and what I'm trying to do in terms of showing women, especially women of color, that they can incorporate cannabis into their self-care routines, and they can take that time to themselves to really take care of themselves and heal themselves with plant medicine on the inside and out. So that's pretty much my mission with my business, is to bring women back to the idea of healing themselves with plants inside and out.
I love that.
So beautiful.
And Iyana, you do have really good products too, because we've tried them.
Yes, you have. Y'all have model. Y'all are excited.
Yes. No, that was one of the greatest experiences, and honestly,
so
our first experience doing something like that. But your toner and your lip scrub, those are my two favorite products.
The lip scrub? Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
literally,
love it.
I'm in love. I don't really use lip scrubs in general, but the fact that first, the ingredients are just so organic.
Mm-hmm. Natural, all vegan.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for that.
What made you choose to incorporate cannabis into your, your business marketing, your strategy, but especially your skincare business?
I've always been a big fan of skincare, and Black women, we are really big on taking care of our skin.
Yep, and samples.
The women in my family are skincare junkies. Growing up, they just had 1,000 products on their dresser. And I just think I naturally have always was gonna do something involving skincare. I also have skin issues and have very sensitive skin, so I'm always making little DIY scrubs and just trying things. I tend to also use all natural and plant-based things because my skin is so sensitive.
Right.
So I think once I just realized that cannabis can also benefit the skin, I put it in the scrubs that I was making, and I just saw it was doing something to my skin. I was like, oh man, it's making my skin not that inflamed. It's not making my skin irritated. Let me put this in a scrub and let me sell it on Etsy and see what it does. And response was much crazier than I anticipated at all. But it really does heal the skin from the inside out.
I love that. And for the listeners, her shop links will all be listed in our description. So I highly suggest you guys listen to that. And I would also like to parlay into bud tending. So you were a bud tender in several states.
Several states?
No, just one.
Just one?
Washington, yeah.
Okay, just Washington. Okay. I don't know why I keep thinking Texas. You bud tended in Texas.
I mean, it seems like I would have, but
if you could have, you would have.
Yeah.
But can you explain what it's like first being a bud tender, and then explain kind of what it's like helping the different people that walk in to the dispensary?
So bud tending is crazy. I don't recommend anyone do it for a long amount of time, but it is something that was such a great experience because of the one-on-one thing that I got to have with customers. The crazy part of bud tending is more on the back end, dealing with staff and management. That's just the worst, because lots of the people that run dispensaries kind of don't really know what they're doing. Unfortunately,
I can
especially like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know how transparent I can be here, but you know how Washington cannabis is. It's so small, it's so white, and just doesn't really feel like you're being supported. And that was the part I didn't like at all. But what I did love was the customers. I had such a good relationship with my customers. I miss them so much because you really got to build a relationship with them and figure out what they wanted, what their needs were, and kind of like what their struggles were. And I personally loved that part of budtending, and that was the part that I wanted to do the most, was educate people about cannabis, just beyond smoking it, just beyond like having really fat joints or whatever. Like you can do so much with it. Right. And then seeing those customers come back and try something else, and see them come back feeling better progressively more and more. Budtending is a great job to get, like, if you're trying to get into the cannabis industry and you don't really know where to start. Like, that's a really easy job to get, and you get a lot of education in that job, but it's really hard work. Like, it's really fucking hard.
So what exactly about it is so hard though?
I think talking to people all day. So I would work like 8 to 12 hour shifts, and I would be talking about cannabis all day. And even though I love talking about cannabis, just relaying that information, it takes a lot of memory and then saying it back. So I would remember all these facts about all these strains, all these products, all about the endocannabinoid system. I'm a big giant weed nerd, so it was easy for me, but it was still exhausting, like having to talk about it all day, right? Like after doing it 7 days in a row, I was so sick of talking about weed.
Right. Like, forget the weed, pull out some Sour Patch Kids or some shit.
Yeah. I mean, it was basically like just talking for a long time, or like you have to stand all day, clearly. And even though I did have good customers that I loved and built relationships with, I also had lots of like fucking weird customers.
Can you explain one of those experiences?
Yeah.
Oh man, there's been so many, especially because I'm a girl, like
like,
I was just gonna
ask, there's not a lot of Black women in dispensaries.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got a lot of weird experiences because I was a girl and also like a Black woman, and I think for some people that made them uncomfortable, because they would come into the space and they would see this Black body there, and then have to face the fact that there are Black bodies that do consume cannabis that can't just walk in the store. I also
that are educated.
Yeah, like that was always the thing that always happened to me, which would make me so mad and like still makes me upset to this day, is that I would give someone the recommendation for their needs or whatever, ask them all the questions, give them all the information, and because I was a Black woman, they didn't believe me. Like, because
you're kidding,
I was who I looked like, how I look, they were like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So they would go to my white male coworker right after I told them what they should get, and my white male coworker had less experience than me. Wow. So when they would go to him, I'd be like, "You can go to him, but he's going to tell you the same. He's going to tell you that you should ask me."
Wow.
And it would happen all the time, and I would just be like, "But I'm standing right here."
What? That's ridiculous. No, for how people could be so uncomfortable and just so visibly ignorant in a space like right in front of your face.
I don't even think it was ignorance. I don't think it was ignorance. I think they knew what they were doing, and like they knew what they were saying and how what they were saying was going to affect how I felt about how I was doing my job.
Yeah. Wow.
But I mean, deep. There's been weird interests. Like, I had someone bring me some Ezel's chicken that I did not know.
What?
I love Ezel's.
Right, shout out to Ezel's, but a
random man would come in like every couple weeks. He wanted my number. I never gave it to him. And he would like just be very flirtatious. Of course, men would be flirtatious. Some would be a little creepier than others. But this man just one day brought me a box of chicken and thought that would make something happen. I mean, I took the chicken. I didn't give him my number.
Not gonna waste no good food over here.
I was like, I took the Ezel's. I mean, it was spicy and the roll.
I don't know how I would feel if I was in that. Like, am I supposed to be mad? Happy?
Right.
I was confused, but I was also hungry.
Exactly.
Right in time for lunch.
Too. Yeah, I was at work hungry, so I was like, I will take this chicken, but you will get nothing else from me.
That is so wild. No, oh my goodness. Oh
I've
my
had
goodness.
some wild experiences. That's probably not even the half. I can do a whole episode on my
Wow.
Right. And speaking of episodes, you do have your own podcast, Wine, Weed, and Weave, where you have incredible cannabis conversations, and they're so very well put together. Can you just discuss your podcast for a little?
Yeah, so that podcast I actually created while I was budtending because I was having that problem of like having the issue, having these things happen to me because I was a Black woman in this space. And I didn't work with any other Black people. I mean, I didn't work with any other Black women. I did work with 2 Black men. But I didn't really feel like I had anyone who I could talk to about these experiences or anyone who could relate to them. And I wanted to like see if I was crazy or tripping. So I created Wine, Weed, and Weave, and it kind of just started as a hobby, just a way for me to connect with other women of color in cannabis in the space. But now I'm on season 3, which is crazy, and have been able to keep going because it's gotten just so much support. The audience has reached over 10,000, and
beautiful.
The sponsorships just keep coming in, and people are just really responding to it well. And I get DMs and comments of people just saying, thank you for the information, or thank you for introducing me to this woman of color who's in cannabis. And lots of people who've been on the show have ended up meeting each other because they knew each other, were on the show and listened to each other's episodes. So I'm really grateful to be able to have this platform. And once it's just, I always keep creating things and like think no one's watching, and then realize people are watching, and I'm like, oh shit, this is actually working. Okay.
Wait a damn minute.
Yeah,
something's happening.
Like we all like are recording and you see your numbers for your podcast and you're like, oh snap, people are listening to this.
Right, I gotta keep going. Oh snap.
It's the best feeling.
That's the power of impact. That's the power of impact. And you have incredible episode topics. First off, I have not listened to season 3. I do need to catch up. But cannabis, sex, and pleasure. That sounds like one that I'm super interested in.
That was such a good episode.
I'm so excited about that one.
Listen to it right after this one, and then tell me what you think.
Yes, I do need to clean my house, girl. So yes. So let's go ahead and go right on into legalization. And recently, a big historic event just happened. New York just legalized recreational cannabis. So could our cannabis expert kind of give us a little bit about what that means? Maybe what you heard from your people on the ground in New York?
Yeah, so New York legalizing is like such a big deal, right? Like New York, I feel like is one of those cities that's had really, really, really high cannabis arrest for no reason for years. And even though they're not like fully legal, the underground market there is a full thing. Like everyone knows like where you can go get weed in New York. It's not that hard. So I think the legalization is like great because it's awesome that like now New Yorkers can smoke weed and not feel like they're going to be arrested or scared for it. But it's also like still kind of like we don't really know. I don't know, because from what I've heard, what the media is saying about New York becoming legal is not really what's happening out there, at least not yet. And I keep saying, am I still going to see the people that I've seen in this industry out there for years? Are they going to be able to be in the legal industry? Because if not, I don't want it.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I'm like, if there's women out there that I know who have been dealing and making their money, and that's how they pay their rent and feed their family, and they even though they're not technically weren't supposed to, they had the ability to for years because they had the support from the community. So I really hope those women and the community that were part of supporting them and the community of cannabis advocates out there are allowed to be in the legal market, and it's easy to access because like in Washington and California to get a license it's like $1 million. Like
it's ridiculous.
It's like a whole ass process.
Like the girls that I know out there can't afford that. So I just want to make sure that those people who have been doing this in that state for years can actually be in it. But apparently, like according to what their new legal system is doing, apparently they are making the steps to make it equitable. So I think that's why it's taking a little bit longer for them to get the legality like actually processed and everything. Like it's legal now, but like dispensaries and shit aren't open, of course, because it takes a while.
Exactly. That's going to be another 2 years.
Yeah. But I think apparently, according to what everyone is saying, as far as like the articles and things, the New York law is trying to be very adamant about making it equitable for everybody, and they don't really want to like launch it fully until they have it like that. So it probably will be a while, and I'm sure like that'll make New Yorkers a little impatient, but I know they're out there like smoking on the streets, like they don't care.
Right, chilling on their porch smoking a blunt, you hear me? Better have a good time.
Yeah, did you hear that like you can't get arrested for smoking on the streets in New York anymore? Like that law is intact right now. So the minute that happened,
we can't do that in Washington.
Like, no.
Well, you can't smoke in your house out there. So they were like, well, where do we smoke? And then the New York was like, all right, we'll let y'all smoke outside.
And Washington said, y'all can't smoke on the streets. Well, where can we smoke? In your house?
Stay the fuck inside.
Like, okay. That ain't no problem. That ain't no problem.
So apparently you can obtain and transport up to 3 ounces of cannabis in New York, and also possess up to 24 grams of concentrate. So that's the legal limit as of now.
Wow. That's a great amount, considering in Washington, I believe you can't leave with more than an ounce if you're one person.
You're kidding.
Yeah, that's how my boyfriend and I get away with 1.25 ounces because it's 2 of us.
Like, okay, I'm gonna get some, you get some.
Exactly. Walk in at different times.
You come out after me, pretend like I don't know you.
Yes, exactly. I don't know you. But that is funny. But that's so wild. The New York legalization and the New York cannabis industry is gonna really have a huge impact, especially I think on a federal level. So I can't wait to see how they treat that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what New York legal cannabis looks like. But someone who I know that lives out there told me that New York always has a little sense of sketchy and illegality, and that's what makes it New York. So
you feel me? No, I kind of love that. Now, from New York to Washington, now let's talk about California cannabis. How is the industry like out there?
Oh man, it's like, I can't even describe it. It's a whole different energy than what I was experiencing in Washington. When I started my cannabis journey, actually, I started in California in 2016 as a medical patient, because that's when California was only medical.
Oh, wow.
And it was really like totally different than what it's like now. Like my first dispensary experience was like super sketch. I had to like bring my medical card. I had to bring my medical paperwork. It was like a whole thing. And now I work for a dispensary as well. And now it's like the dispensary I work for, it looks like Target.
Like, that's lit.
Like you can literally walk up and down the aisles and like grab the gummies you want, and grab the thing you want, and go to checkout. And like, it's crazy, but I love that it's way more accessible to kind of everyone here. And the energy in the cannabis industry out here is wild because it's such a big state, and the whole state is legal from the north to the south. So yeah, it's just been like just really cool to see how accessible it is for everyone. But there is still that kind of like underground thing too. Like I still go to like these underground sesh, and those happen in the city because those allow like up and coming brands and up and coming growers who maybe can't afford to get a license, who maybe don't have the resources to like do big packaging and branding and get all the paperwork they need to be in dispensaries. California luckily allows cannabis events, so those smaller brands and up and coming, like a Christian Cute would be at this kind of thing because we couldn't be in a dispensary. So I really like the fact that there's kind of the best of both worlds out here, and that we have the ability to support the up and comers and the new growers and the new brands, but also still like get the brands that we love in the store pretty much anywhere.
That sounds so fun. Back to your Med-Card really quick. How was it attaining that Med-Card?
It was pretty easy for me, honestly, because I was very intentional about getting a medical cannabis card for a very specific ailment. I've dealt with anxiety and depression for pretty much my whole life. And when I first consumed cannabis was the first time I felt like I had control over that feeling. So when I moved to California, I immediately was like, I want to get a medical card because I need weed. So once I told them my symptoms, they were like, "Oh, girl, you have anxiety." I was like, "Yes, I know that."
What's like, the solution?
Yeah, I'm like, that's why I'm here, and it was pretty easy from there. I don't think anyone who was in the medical days really had too hard of a time, because back then, I don't remember, people would be like, oh, I had a headache, and they would give you a medical card.
You feel me? I got glaucoma. Okay.
People would be like, oh, my child. They'd be like, medical card, here you go. But there's still medical cards for your medical patients, as there are in Washington as well.
Right.
They're just not just the medical space, which is cool. But there are those like medical only dispensaries. So if you want more of like a one-on-one kind of like doctor kind of visit sort of experience, you can have that here too. But if you want more of the chill and relax, you can have that as well. But the medical card process was pretty easy for me.
Dang. So it sounds like California is where I should be. Like I
Girl,
just need to spend a month in
Same.
Cali just embracing myself.
Else you can get here that I recently bought. I now have 2 cannabis clones because you can buy them from the dispensaries and just get your own clones, take them home.
What? You can do that? Are they affordable?
Yeah, for sure. They're like $25. Like,
oh my god.
25?
I was shocked myself. I went somewhere and I saw someone with a clone. I was like, oh my god, where'd you get that? They were like, oh, that guy over there has them. He's selling them for like $20. I was like, what?
Yes.
What?
That's perfect. What? And then all you have to do is just pick your buds off of it and then just learn.
Just pick what you want. This is my first time growing, so I'm really just like letting them do what they want.
You feel me?
Just giving them water and sun and love. I had one that died, but I have 2.
Literally same here.
I have 2 plants still alive, and they are starting to form buds. So I'm excited to see how to like do all this drying and trimming and all that stuff. I have no idea, but it's fun to learn.
That's so beautiful. No, I love that. I'm excited to watch your experience on Instagram because I do believe I remember seeing a picture of you holding those clones.
I do. They're my babies.
I need to stalk your Instagram now.
My clone babies.
But that's so awesome. And now we do have some listener questions to end off this episode. So first off, I want to thank you again. Thank you so much for spending your time with Black Me Up and educating our listeners. Thank you for
having me. I am so excited that you had me on the show. You've been on my podcast as well. If you guys didn't know, Day has been on the podcast. She'll probably be on again.
Yes. So let's go ahead and answer these questions. So I want to consume in a non-legal state, but I'm scared. What do I do?
That is a good question. So I have consumed in a non-legal state. I wasn't scared just because I'm about that life. But oh man, I don't even know. If you're scared to consume in a non-legal state, if you have friends or family that maybe consume with them. Like consume with people that you feel comfortable with in a space that you're comfortable. And if you're not sure where to get, what you want to consume or how to get it, don't do it by yourself, because in illegal states, it can be kind of dangerous, as you know. Mm-hmm. But, if you have a friend or a family member and you're like, I want to consume, but I'm not really sure, ask them like, hey, can we set aside a weekend where you can, can I come over? Can we just chill and sesh? That's pretty much how I started consuming for the first time. Is I had a friend that was consuming, and I would go to her house and she would show me all about the things about weed, and I would just learn from her. And I never bought on my own for the first couple of years. Honestly, I would just go to her house and that would be my time to consume because I felt comfortable. So I definitely recommend just finding someone that you trust, that you're comfortable with, who maybe also consumes. And if they don't, that's also fine. Just find someone that's won't be judgmental in a space that you can be comfortable and safe.
Yes, absolutely. That was great advice. I completely agree. For the second question, I'm not interested in getting high, but CBD sounds cool. So what's CBD about? What's that about?
I like how they said CBD sounds cool, because that's what everyone's like, right. It sounds like
7-Eleven now.
Yeah, like I kind of like love but hate that people call it diet weed.
Oh man.
Diet weed, what is that? But CBD is great. I love CBD. I just took some CBD dabs a couple hours ago.
Yes. And
CBD has benefits beyond just like people think, it's diet weed, it won't make you feel anything. It has benefits beyond what cannabis, the psychoactive effects do. CBD is doing things in your body even after you're consuming it. It's helping inflammation. It's killing bacteria. It's antimicrobial. It's all sorts of other great things it's doing in your body while you're not even noticing that it's doing it. It's also great for your mind. If you're like me, someone that, deals with anxiety, depression, even just like sleep, insomnia, CBD is great for that. If you have, just kind of issues with sleeping or eating, it's a great appetite stimulant. There's so many great benefits to CBD. I could talk about it forever. It's one of my favorite cannabinoids in the whole plant. Yes. So if you do get the chance to try CBD, don't get the gas station CBD. Don't get that.
No. Waste. No.
Don't get that because it's not going to feel good. Yeah, like it's going to taste bad. It's not. You're going to really be like, it's not doing anything because it's probably really not going to do anything. Like if you can go to a smoke shop, most smoke shops I feel like sell some form of CBD.
Yeah, something that's legit.
Yeah, like go to a smoke shop. If you don't have a smoke shop near you that sells CBD, there's so many websites now that you can buy CBD online legally. Just make sure you read reviews and do the research. If they're online, they should have a certificate of analysis. So you should be able to see their lab results and see exactly what's in the product. If they don't have that, don't buy it. And just do your research. Just try things. I'm trying all sorts of CBD products all the time. I'm always buying just random CBD dabs so I can see what I like.
There you go. Great tip. And also, CBD, you do not want to have a bad first experience because you cheapened yourself on the first time. At least go ahead and invest a little bit, and I promise you it'll be worth it.
So worth it. You'll feel so much better.
Now we have 2 more questions. Why'd I fuck that up? Can I get comfortably high without smelling like weed?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. It's there's, all of us were like, oh yeah, girl. Oh, girl. Because we've all done it, right? Like we've all been like, oh, I got to go somewhere, but I need to take this hit real quick.
You feel me? Or I don't have a bong, but let's take this edible.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, edibles are great. But edibles, you can kind of trip out if you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You don't really want to take an edible before going to church. Or you do. Whatever.
Okay.
True.
What else? The vape pens are great because they're discreet. They don't smell like anything.
Yes.
Dabs are great. I've been personally really into dabbing lately. I didn't dab at all before I moved to California, and now I can't stop dabbing. But it doesn't smell like anything. That's why I love dabbing because it's an instant it gives you the effects very quickly, but it doesn't smell like anything. As for I would have to have 3, 4, 5 bowls and smell like a whole.
Wait, how does it hit you quickly?
I don't know exactly. I mean, I'm guessing because with concentrates and extracts, they're 70 to 90% THC, and you're not having to filter through all that flower material. You're just getting the full extract. So when you're dabbing or taking your wax or whatever, you're just immediately getting the THC rather than just filtering out all the extra material. Dabs, edibles, pens. I'm trying to think what else. There's so many products on the market now. There's teas and honey and sodas.
Rubs.
Oh, you know what I had last night? I had some medicated horchata.
Oh, horchata. You gonna need to ship that to me, girl.
What?
Okay, come through with the horchata. How was it? Was it nice? Was it that perfect consistency? Because sometimes it's too sweet.
So it doesn't really taste like a real horchata. It tastes like a flavored drink, like a horchata flavored drink. Right. But for a medicated beverage, it wasn't bad. I felt good. I had about 20 milligrams and I was watching a movie. So it was great. There's all sorts of products in the market. And even if you're they don't have what I want here, you can make your own stuff. Use a little herbal butter maker or ardent and make your own infusions.
Yep, exactly. And sometimes what was I gonna say? They do be tasting funky, weird. If you're trying THC infused products for the first time, you're gonna have that very distinct
there's something wrong with this drink.
Yeah,
so planty. I would say it tastes earthy. You can taste the earthiness.
When a tree stump is lifted up and you get the whiff of the dirt underneath.
I've had some taste straight chemical, the really bad ones.
Oh yeah, those are the worst. Those are the ones that have extract in them. Those, they taste chemically. They have live resin in them, which live resin is great, but not in an edible form.
Exactly. Let's skip that. Ooh, no, that's wild. Okay. Last question here. What is a dispensary experience like? So for somebody who's never walked into a dispensary, what is it like that first time to walk in, Oh,
I have been to so many dispensaries at this point. So Like,
okay, dispensary tour.
I lived at the dispensary, so I have I mean, my first dispensary experience wasn't great, but that was years ago. I feel like now dispensaries are really, really making it a point to have great customer service.
Yes.
And provide good quality products, which I appreciate because I didn't have that when I first started consuming cannabis. So I think when you go to a dispensary, like when you're starting to like research dispensaries or like think about like, oh, I want to maybe, go get my first weed pickup. First research, of course, like look at the dispensaries around you, read reviews. I read reviews for everything and find out which ones have like the prices that are in your range, because some are more expensive than others. Of course, I don't go to the super expensive ones because I personally don't think their products are better than like the local ones. But it's really up to you and what you're comfortable with. There are so many different types of shops now. There are ones that have like a more mom and pop shop vibe. The shop that I used to work at was like really small and had more of like a community vibe, and people like that. And some people like more of like the more up and coming like techie kind of places that have the iPads and you don't really have to interact with people. But your first dispensary experience, no matter what at this point, should be very comfortable. And if you're not comfortable where you are, if you're just not getting the service that you want, just leave. Just don't.
Right. You can turn around and walk out.
Like, you can just be like, you know what, never mind. Because getting getting good service and having people be attentive to you in a dispensary is really important, because this is something that you're consuming and it's going to affect your mind. So you want to be able to ask questions. You want to be able to not feel pressured to buy anything. You want to be able to make sure that the people that you're talking to or the store that you're at has the resources that you need to feel like you're going to have the best experience possible. So if you're in a store that you're not comfortable in, and you're like, oh, this isn't really my vibe, then just find something else. There are some stores that I walk into and I'm like, oh, my Nana would love this, because it's like it's like my Nana's vibe, I'm like, oh, this is very like cute and like it's very quiet in here, and I would love to take her here. And there are some dispensaries I go to and I'm like, oh, my brother would love this, because there's like hip hop playing and
got
like
a DJ,
skateboarders. Yeah, it just depends on your vibe. Just find the place that matches your vibe.
That's incredible. Yeah, there are so many dispensaries like here. There's ones with lounges, there's ones that are converted like gas stations, converted whatever you have, There's just so many different unique storefronts for dispensaries. So I'm very interested, especially in places like New York, to see what they utilize as a storefront possibly, maybe a Redstone is a storefront. That would be wild.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to have a lot of fun, like turning like a bodega into a...
Got the cannabis cat, the dispensary cat. That would be so funny.
I would go.
I would literally, yes. So that was honestly an amazing episode. I think we're going to end it off right there, you guys. And like every single episode, I want us to end with a final thoughts, just something quick, something short. Honestly, my final thought, I don't want it to be the same as last week because I said fuck periods. But honestly, my thought this week is consume cannabis and get rid of the stigma. That's my final thought. Get rid of the stigma. Any stigma that you have, don't be afraid to Google and find somebody like Iyana, myself, and possibly Lily, that you could reach out to, because we're here for you.
Always a resource. My DMs, bro.
Thought. Yes, Iyana, and we'll have you plug your stuff at the end of the episode, closer to the end. So, do you have a final thought?
My final thought is gonna be, people are gonna judge you for what you do anyway. So just fuck it, do what you want.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Mine would be just go on a trail, like enjoy nature today. Enjoy if it's sunny, because it's hot right now.
It's hot as hell. Okay, in Washington, it's
hot right now. It's like in the 80s.
Oh, girl, I don't even know, but I'm too hot to even Google.
But yeah, enjoy it. So after this, I want to just go outside, probably just lay on the grass.
Nice.
That's exactly. So Iyana, could you please go ahead and plug your socials, your podcast again, any information you'd like our listeners to have?
Yeah, of course. So you can find me on Instagram at TheMarijuanaIyana, just the Marijuana Iyana. All of my links are in my link tree for my podcast and my cannabis marketing company, MJI Canna Marketing. I'll actually be releasing, if this comes out the day of 420,
Yes.
I'll actually be releasing, I'll have a whole new 420 bundle service available that's launching the day of 420.
Ooh.
So that'll be branding, marketing, and design all in one package for only $420. Only have a limited amount of those available, but I'm really excited to launch that because I'm really big into helping other women of color, other minorities in cannabis kind of get their feet on the ground and get their foot in the door in the cannabis industry. So anything that I do now, I pretty much am focused on, you know, bringing others in with me and reaching back and just pulling people along and giving the information that I can. So you can find that link as well in my bio. Cushion Cute on Instagram, it's at Cushion Cute, just KUSH and CUTE. We have a temporary site right now on Big Cartel. That link is also in that bio. And Wine, Weed, and Weave, my podcast, is streaming everywhere podcasts are streaming. Season 3 is now live. The first 3 episodes are up, including the cannabis and sex episode, which is good. Highly recommend listening to that. And yeah, I think that's all.
A booked and busy marketing queen. We love it. We're so glad that you again carved out your time because you are busy. And can I just vouch for her marketing service, MJ Iyana Marketing? Anybody who needs any type of marketing help, go to her. She is so easy, so smooth to work with, and has great content. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate both of you so much. You know that I love y'all, and y'all like came to my house when I was leaving Washington and
Yes, mimosa.
Such a good time. And I just can't wait till we can all do that again. Whenever y'all are in California, you know, y'all are welcome to sleep on my couch. And
Amen.
I've been needing a trip.
Y'all are amazing. I'm so proud of both of you in the show.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you. That really does. So with that being said, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Black Me Up Podcast. You guys can follow us everywhere at Black Me Up Podcast. Links to the things we talked about will be in the description box. And with that being said, bye. We need sleep. Bye.